My name is Vivek Iyer, not Pico Iyer, but my father did know Pico Iyer's father. My father was a few years younger than him. Pico's father, Raghavan Iyer, was a very brilliant student and did very well. Uh, Now, the truth of the matter is that he was a theosophist. He believed that souls get reincarnated, and he would write these rather foolish essays about how maybe Eisenhower's soul was that of some previous president, and that kind of nonsense. Now, Pico didn't want that, but the truth is that his father and his mother, they wanted him to be the theosophical Messiah, which is why they did not consummate their marriage while they were in India. It was only when they landed on British soil that they consummated their marriage, and this is the reason that their son went to the Dragon School and then Eton and then Cambridge or Oxford or whatever it was. Why? How strange. Huh? But then you see, Annie Besant, the head of the Theosophical Society, had wanted her Jiddu Krishnamurti. She picked up an Iyengar boy. His father worked for the Theosophical Society, and she said, "Oh, this is the new universal Messiah, and I want him to go to Eton." Her own mother had been a house matron at Harrow. So she said, "I should have money." So no, Eton, best school. Fair enough. I'm sorry. And Oxford. But Jiddu Krishnamurti was as stupid as shit. Seriously. Thick as a fucking plank. Good looking, thick as a plank. And, he couldn't pass any fucking exams. Mary Chaptershire had previously been the Theosophist guy. And, Yeats, poem by Yeats about Mary Chatterjee, and he did well later on as a barrister. I'm too sorry. This sort of noise is going to be continuous. I'm not podcasting from a hermetically sealed studio. With Pico, you have this extraordinary decision that the boy makes that the mummy and daddy that went off to California and everybody in England back in the late 50s, early 60s, they're saying, I want to go to California. I don't want to go to a smelly Eton. It smelled bad. It was insanitary. Now it's been dotted up. Actually, uh, by the 1970s, it was very decent, but the food was horrible. It was shit. And he went for, I think, no, actually, it was horrible. Um, and he was a classicist. It's Latin and Greek. And let me tell you, nobody rates any Etonian classicist of that period. I know the guy who's better than him, rubbish guy. They were shit. Because nobody cared. They were shit. But, the thing about Pico was that he had this transatlantic thing. And it was as a writer and as a sort of professor of or guy who teaches writing or something like that. And he was publishing good articles, essays. I think it was in Time or Newsweek, I forget. This is in the early 80s. They were elegant, but they were not informative. They were shit. There's nothing in them. And then what happens is that you have a wonderful film called The Accidental Tourist, which kind of blows the gaff on foreign, on travel journalism and guys who, get stuck, they reach a literal dead end. They can't repeat the formula which succeeded in their previous novel, and so they go off to fucking Mexico or Paraguay or Peru or, you know, Patagonia. Wouldn't work. Wouldn't work. But what could work was, and this is the magic of the film, The Accidental Tourist. The premise of the film was actually true. I was there in the mid-80s, and I remember I had friends who had to jet off to Bolivia into, fucking Bangladesh or wherever the fuck. And the one thing they didn't want is to be disturbed by local conditions. So they want to stay in the sort of, in the franchised or the international hotel group, the Four Seasons or the Hilton or whatever it might be, where you have the same fucking picture on the wall. You don't know whether you're in Dhaka or you're in Detroit. And you go to meetings and you fly away. You don't want to know the people of that country. Very sensible, perfectly sensible. And what Pico kind of gives a twist to the accidental tourist thing, because she writes a book called The Lady and the Monk. Now he comes from, his mother was Gujarati. She's from a fantastic family. Father is an Iyer like me, and they are, very spiritual. Both of them are spiritual, but teaching spirituality and shit. Um, and by the way, I remember reading Parapolitics by Raghavan Iyer back in the late 70s, I think 17, early 80s. And, he's kind of trying to make out that he knows Greek. He didn't know Greek. Nor does his son. This is Eton Greek. It's shite. It's, the whole thing was um, a fabrication, self-serving, self-aggrandizing. It was people with 18 spirituality sort of glumming onto spirituality. And with Lady and the Monk, you think, well, okay, yeah, Japan is interesting, Rising Sun, we've seen the movie, uh, Japan is important. Steven Seagal, he's like, you know, by the way, he's a Tibetan Tulku. He's a reincarnation of that kind of shit. But with Pico, you get nothing. You don't have Lafcadio Hearn. You don't get, you get nothing. You get, oh, Japanese women narrow their eye slits or they broaden their eye slits to express sexual desire. They don't. Japanese are exactly like the rest of us. It's just nonsense. You know, what the fuck? So this is a very stupid man. He writes, what the shite. Yes, we get that he might be a homosexual or bisexual or something like that. Why? What is the point to his nonsense? Seriously.